North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning, I'm John David Wells. Thanks very much for joining us today. What do we do on this broadcast? We report the news, honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We make commentary, which is not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine, and so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. It's the Wells Report. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. And it's time to get this broadcast started for Thursday. This is October 12th, 2023. Time now for the front page. This is a digest of news since yesterday's broadcast and while we were sleeping. The Israel-Hamas war continues to lead the news. USA Today reports American death toll in the conflict has risen to 22. Israeli fatalities surpassed 1,200 yesterday, while desperation swept across Gaza as Tel Aviv's response to the brutal attack by Hamas left neighborhoods destroyed, homes dark, and hospitals low on medical supplies. Quote, "At this time, we can confirm the deaths of at least 22 U.S. citizens." Unquote. This from the U.S. State Department in a statement. "We extend our deepest condolences to the victims and the families of those affected. In addition, 17 Americans remain unaccounted for, according to the White House. Israeli soldiers retaking communities near the Gaza border encountered streets littered with bodies of civilians, including women and children. The Israeli Health Ministry said the death toll is likely to increase amid continued fighting and the discovery of more bodies in the settlements. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to crush and destroy Hamas. He said this, and I quote, "Every Hamas member is a dead man," unquote. Palestinian officials say more than 1,100 militants and citizens in Gaza have been killed and more than 5,000 wounded. Israeli rockets smashed into neighborhoods for a fifth day yesterday, destroying homes and infrastructure. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to crush the enemy and destroy Hamas. Palestinian officials say more than 1,100 militants and citizens in Gaza have been killed, more than 500 wounded. Israeli rockets continue to fall. After nightfall, Palestinians were plunged into pitch darkness, or pitch blackness, in large parts of Gaza City and elsewhere in the territories as the only territory's power station ran out of fuel and shut down. Only a few lights from private generators still remain. Otherwise, key Iranian leaders had no advanced warning that Hamas would attack Israel, according to the New York Times. Citing U.S. intelligence officials it did not name. The information supports previous Biden administration statements. There was no indication Iran was involved in the attack. An estimated 260,000 people have fled their Gaza homes, most taking shelters into packed UN schools. Israeli forces exchanged gunfire over Israel's northern borders with militants in Lebanon and Syria amid concerns of an expanded regional conflict. The Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has claimed to have killed and wounded Israeli troops. The Israelis have not confirmed that report. American warships are moving into the area. The Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, a force of 6 warships, headed by the U.S. Navy's largest and most advanced nuclear aircraft carrier, arrived in the eastern Mediterranean Sea earlier this week as part of the U.S. response to the attack by Hamas on Israel. As laid out by the Secretary of Defense, their guidance is to make sure there is no escalation around Israel, according to Peter Daly, retired U.S. Navy Vice Admiral and CEO of the U.S. Naval Institute. Quote, "Their mission, as stated by the DoD, is to not let the neighbors join the party," unquote. A second carrier task force, the 4-ship Dwight D. Eisenhower Strike Group, will leave its home port of Norfolk, Virginia. That'll happen tomorrow and sail to the Mediterranean. The Navy said the move, headed by the aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, was a regularly scheduled deployment, but it did not specify its destination. U.S. Marines are also on the move. A Special Operations Marine Corps unit participating in exercises expected to last October 22nd departed earlier this week as a result of emerging events, according to reports. Tuesday, the U.S. Marines issued a press release saying Marines and sailors of the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit would be participating in Marine Air Ground Task Force training exercises in Kuwait, October 8th through the 22nd. The training started with the USS Bataan, an amphibious-ready group, and the USS Carter Hall, which would arrive near Kuwait and offload elements and equipment for the exercises. The day before the exercises began, October 7th, Hamas-led militants conducted a deadly surprise attack on Israel, killing at least 22 U.S. citizens, leaving at least 17 still unaccounted for, with some being held hostage in Gaza. Marine Corps Times reported yesterday that sailors and Marines who are part of the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit in Kuwait and traveling to Bataan and Carter Hill are no longer in the vicinity of Kuwait. They are on the move. Secretary of State, for his part, Antony Blinken, landed in Israel early this morning as a show of support for the longtime ally, following Hamas's terror attacks on the country over the weekend. Blinken was greeted by Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen and other officials after departing the plane at Ben Gurion Airport in Lod, which is on the outskirts of Tel Aviv. Deputy Special Envoy for Hostage Affairs Steve Gillen also traveled to Israel with Blinken to prioritize their mission to urge Hamas to release all their hostages immediately. Blinken will meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Isaac Herzog, and other senior Israeli officials, and will, quote, reiterate condolences for the victims of the terror attacks against Israel and condemn those attacks in the strongest possible terms. This, according to a statement from Antony Blinken's office. He is also expected to meet with the team at the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. According to the Secretary of State's website, Blinken is then scheduled to travel to Jordan before his scheduled departure on Friday, October 13th. That will be tomorrow. Elsewhere, Hamas is using the internet as a propaganda tool. USA Today reports that terror propaganda, violent videos, graphic images of kidnappings and murders of civilians and soldiers flooded social media from the deadly cross-border incursion into Israel was a key element in Hamas's military campaign. This, according to Graham Brookie, Senior Director of the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Lab. Hamas streamed from the war zone in closer to real time than in past conflicts, indicating the online strategy was essential as a part of the overall planning for their attack on Israel, this taking advantage of how hyper-connected Israel is with widespread use of smartphones and social media, according to Brookie. Veterans of conflict zones on Brookie's team tracking Hamas's digital footprint were struck by the ferocity and volume of the footage, the likes of which they had never seen. For its part, X has deleted hundreds of Hamas-related accounts. This from CNN. X says it has removed hundreds of Hamas-related accounts and taken down thousands of posts since the attack on Israel by the Palestinian militant group. The platform, formerly known as Twitter, was given 24 hours by the European Union earlier this week to address illegal content and disinformation regarding the conflict or face penalties under the European Union's recently enacted Digital Services Act. CEO Linda Yaccarino responded to the EU official, Terry Breton, in a letter dated yesterday that she posted on X. She said the company had, quote, redistributed resources and refocused international teams who are working around the clock to address this rapidly evolving situation. In U.S. politics, according to USA Today, House Republicans made a major step toward electing a new speaker yesterday, formally nominating as a conference House Minority, make that House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, the Republican from Louisiana. In an internal secret ballot vote, Scalise beat out his primary rival, Chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Representative Jim Jordan, the Republican of Ohio, by a vote of 113 to 99, this according to Representative Darrell Issa of California. We have a lot of work to do, Scalise said in exiting the closed-door meeting where the vote was held. Not just in the House for the people of this country, but we see how dangerous of a world it is and how things can change very quickly. The conference vote, however, is just a sign of approval from House Republicans at large. The House still has to formally elect a new speaker on the House floor. Lawmakers are free to nominate other candidates. In news of the states, a Yale professor is in trouble, making vile comments about the Hamas attacks. This from Fox News. A Yale professor is facing intense backlash on social media after she made several remarks that appeared to downplay the murder of Israeli civilians by Hamas and paint the Jewish state as an oppressive regime. Over the weekend, journalist Rachel Shabi tweeted, quote, "Civilians are civilians are civilians, doesn't matter where," appearing to condemn the terror attacks on Israeli men, women, and children in their homes. "Settlers are not civilians. This is not hard," the historical anthropologist and documentary filmmaker Zarina Gruel responded. Gruel, who works as an associate professor of American Studies, Ethnicity, Race, Migration, and Religious Studies at Yale, previously published a book focusing on transnational Muslim networks that U.S. mosques linked to Islamic movements in the post-colonial Middle East. She also created a film that examines the radicalization of Islam and the history of discrimination faced by Muslims before the September 11th, 2001 attacks. She has been required by most people, except for university administration, to resign. Out of California, former baseball star Steve Garvey announced on Tuesday that he is entering the race for the U.S. Senate, hopefully to succeed Dianne Feinstein, who died earlier this month. The 74-year-old Garvey is a Republican. California Governor Gavin Newsom selected LaFonza Butler, an advisor to Kamala Harris's 2020 presidential campaign, to fill Feinstein's vacant seat, which will be occupied until the 2024 election. Butler has not said if she's going to run for the full 6-year term. No Republican has won a U.S. Senate seat via election in California since 1988. From Colorado, this from Fox News, Denver's homeless problem is so bad one resident resorted to dumping human excrement left by his office on the steps of City Hall to convey his frustration. Mike Johnson, the Democrat mayor of Denver, may be on the other side of the aisle, but he understood where the libertarian think tank owner, John Caldera, was coming from with his viral stunt. I've known John Caldera for a long time. We've had more than a handful of discussions, but I think he and I share the same goal, which is we want to be able to get people housed and get people back to clean, safe public spaces that everyone can access. We know the reasons that happen is when folks living out in tents and encampments don't have access to public bathrooms. They don't have access to trash pickup. And often they have no place to drop trash, no place to go to the restroom. And that's one of the reasons why we know this is not the right solution. It's inhumane. It's not good for the city. While a Democrat, Mayor Johnston calls himself a nonpartisan mayor for Denver, the deep blue city, President Biden took nearly 80% of the vote there in 2020, is one of many throughout the country struggling with skyrocketing living costs and homelessness. In Texas, gymnast Mary Lou Retton is in ICU. She has a rare form of pneumonia. Mary Lou Retton, who captured the attention of the nation when she won the all-around women's gymnastic competition in 1984, remains in an intensive care unit on a ventilator, according to an update by her daughter, McKenna Kelly, sharing yesterday. "My sister Skyla, Shayla, Emma, and I would like to thank everyone for the outpouring of love and support for Mom," she wrote in an Instagram post. On Tuesday, Kelly revealed her mother had been in ICU over a week with a very rare form of pneumonia. Since then, financial support has poured in. Retton continues to fight. She does not have health insurance. That is today's front page. Coming up, we will explain a little bit more about today's news and what has been happening in the Israeli-Hamas war, and we will continue to give you the news, and we'll do that next. Stay where you are. Back in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Thanks very much for joining us today. We were just reporting that Mary Lou Retton is in a fight for her life. She is in an ICU unit here in Texas, and she has no health insurance. We told you just at the end of the front page that Mary Lou has a spot fund donation site. I'm going to show that to you right this minute. You can see that the donations have come in. She's got $350,000 and so on. And McKenna Kelly, one of her daughters, one of Mary Lou's daughters, has said this: "Hey, everyone, on behalf of my sisters and I, we need y'all's help. My amazing mom, Mary Lou, has a rare form of pneumonia, is fighting for her life. She is not able to breathe on her own. She's been in ICU for over a week now. Out of respect for her and her privacy, I will not disclose all the details. However, I will disclose she's not insured. If you could help in any way, we ask that you, 1, pray. 2, if you could help us with finances for the hospital bill. Anything, absolutely anything, would be helpful to my family and my mom. Thank you all very much. If you want to go to our chat room on Facebook, X, YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble, you can also find this on Patreon later on today. If you want to go to that, I have put the link to this Spot Fund site up there so that you can see it. Also, by the way, while we're talking about people that are having a little bit of trouble financially, one of them is Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell is a guy who has sponsored this broadcast through the auspices of MyPillow. And what I wanted you to do was he's having trouble making his bills. And so, free of charge, courtesy of the Wells Report, I thought I'd give you this.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success. And now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
All right, so what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we help out Mike because he's helped us out in the past, and yeah, he's having trouble paying his legal bills because of the defamation lawsuit that has been filed against him by Dominion Voting Systems. And regardless of how you feel about Mike Lindell, remember that there is an opportunity for you to help somebody trying to do his very best for this nation, whether you agree with him or not. Why don't you buy a couple of pillows? I sure would appreciate that as well. By the way, one of the greatest news people in the history of American radio, Val Dior, and member of the Wells Report family, just said that she saw where Mattress Mac of Gallery Furniture gave $50,000 to Mary Lou Retton's recovery fund. He is a class act. Indeed he is. And thanks very much for the update. World's greatest newsman. I appreciate it, Val Dior. Miss you, gal. Our telephone number, 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. I was just looking at some numbers here regarding Mike Lindell being out of money and having trouble paying his lawyers. It's tough to fight what you consider to be the good fight, but it is essential that you do so. And Mike Lindell has done everything that he can to stand up for his vision and his view of this nation. And I think that's worthy of maybe buying a couple of pillows. So please take care of Mike Lindell if you can. Once again, we'll play that commercial a couple of times throughout the day so that you can get those numbers, etc. I don't know who's getting credit for them, but another gift from the Wells Report. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. Thanks very much for joining us. It's Thursday. This is the 12th day of October, year of our Lord, 2023. As you know, I am a member of the Texas State Guard. And while I don't say anything that has anything to do with the Texas Military Department or the Texas State Guard, nothing I say should be construed as having anything to do with those two fine organizations of which I am a part. Everything I say about my duty with the Texas State Guard is strictly my own responsibility, okay? I'm not speaking for any of those organizations. I do want to tell you that I do have an important Texas State Guard thing to do over the weekend. It starts tomorrow. So this broadcast will return on Monday. I'll be off tomorrow, and I know it's been kind of weird. We had some family things that happened yesterday. And so we will not be on the air tomorrow, but we will be back on Monday. I wanted to let you know, kind of a programming note. Let's get back to the news here. An Israeli airline known as El Al will fly on the Sabbath for the first time in more than 40 years. This, by the way, as we pick up news, latest updates, courtesy of CNN. They've been doing a great job on this, by the way. This from 35 minutes ago. The Israeli airline El Al will fly on the Sabbath for the first time since 1982. It plans to operate 2 free flights for reservists, medical teams, and members of security forces. El Al said in a statement it had received the necessary religious authorization to operate the flights from New York and Bangkok, saying they're being paid for by El Al and American financial bodies. Humanitarian situation in Gaza is dire, according to CNN. Food and water in limited supply. This according to a United Nations agency. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is dire, with food and water in limited supply and quickly running out. This according to the deputy head of emergencies with the UN World Food Program, Brian Lander. He is talking about that this morning. The UN agency is on the ground and responding. We're providing food to thousands of people who have sought shelter in schools and elsewhere across the territory, but they're going to run out very soon. We don't have access to the Gaza Strip that's been closed down. We're looking to ensure that we have means to deliver food to these people as the crisis evolves. Lander said the WFP is very worried about how the situation will evolve, particularly if the humanitarian situation is not addressed. The people that are seeking shelter and striving to survive in this environment, that's only going to get worse and worse as time goes by. I think our concern is that unless we're able to access these communities, the people that are in need, the civilian population, it's going to be an extreme situation for them, both in terms of giving them the food to survive, the water to survive, and other services, even shelter over their heads. The United Nations spokesperson Lander said that WFP is calling on parties to abide by international humanitarian law to allow those supplies to be brought into the communities that are in need. I've been talking about this idea of civilians in the Gaza Strip for the last couple of days on X. And I have brought this up in the last few days. But I want to amplify this a little bit, because what I have said on X has been, shall I say, very pragmatic, very straightforward, very factual, and very true. It is, however, something that is perhaps at odds with people who are trying to create, like the United Nations in this particular piece, a humanitarian, or bring light to what they consider to be a humanitarian issue for the Gaza Strip. The people in the Gaza Strip have allowed Hamas to rule them, some say with an iron fist, for decades. It is a terrorist organization. It has been declared so, not just by the United States, but by the entire world. It is not an organization that is protected in any way, shape, or form as the government of a nation state, insofar as the Palestinian people do not have a nation state. They have been offered one 4 times. They have turned them all down. The reason is the price was far too high for them to accept their own homeland. What was that price? That the Jews be allowed to live. Palestinians have made it clear that all they want is the eradication of Jews. They are not interested in a 2-state solution. They are not interested in living side by side in peace. They are interested in working on their next horrific terror attack, just like we saw over the weekend. The heinous nature of which precludes any kind of sympathy for the people in Gaza. And you're saying, now, wait a minute, John David, these are civilians. Well, it depends on your point of view. I have opined the following. As Palestine is not a nation, Palestinians are not bound by their own national law. They're not even bound by international law. They're not bound by any law whatsoever. They have chosen to be ruled by an ideology. Therefore, the people who are Palestinians are ideologues. Their representatives in this ideology, that representative is Hamas. The people living in Gaza are adherents to that ideology. Therefore, they are not civilians. They are combatants. They are combatants. It is therefore reasonable to assert, in fact, I believe it is factual, that any kind of suffering that the people of Gaza are currently engaged in, any kind of suffering that they're going through, lack of water, lack of power, lack of food, has nothing to do with a defensive response by Israel. It has solely to do with the offensive attack on Israel by Hamas. A lot of people are saying, now, wait a minute, this is, they're trying to call Israel war criminals because they're attacking the Gaza Strip. That's where the terrorists are. And one of these interesting things about these ideological based, shall we say, nations, even though they are not nations, is that they will play both sides against the middle when it comes to international war, international laws of war. On one hand, they're not bound by the civilized aspects of war. For example, you cannot sit down, invade a country, and start slaughtering civilians willy-nilly. If you are a nation state and you are at war with another nation state, you attack their military, not their citizens. That's not what happened here. Therefore, when a nation state attacks this ideology, there are no civilians to protect. Because the civilians, the quote-unquote civilians, are actually adherents to the ideology. There is no international law protecting them. Now, the good news is on that particular score is 260,000 of them have left their homes, and they are currently involved in United Nations-supported shelters. That's how the United Nations will feed and shelter and water these people. The people that are in Hamas, the people that are in the Gaza Strip that have not sought shelter in these enclaves are members of Hamas, and they will be treated as members of Hamas. Hamas commits war criminals every single day by hiding weaponry, operatives, etc., in schools, in people's homes, in hospitals. That's a war crime. But as they are not a nation, nobody says anything because they're not bound by international law. Well, that works both ways. And all the people that stand up and talk about how terrible Israel is for defending itself against these, shall we say, innocent civilians, forget the fact that in reality they're not innocent civilians. They are war fighters. The Geneva Convention allows for the immediate execution, the summary execution of people that are not bound by nation state, covered by writ of war, wearing of uniform. Both sides can line them up against a wall and shoot them. And that is essentially what Hamas has put their own people in. These people are not interested in peace. These people are interested in slaughtering Jews. And that is all. And that is what we have seen. Therefore, all these people bravely standing up for Palestinian protection are woefully ignorant of the realities that the Palestinians have put themselves in. Nobody put the Palestinians in this situation except the Palestinians. People have been reaching out in good faith to the Palestinians for decades. 60 years, in fact, trying to get them to understand. It almost goes all the way, it does go back to the beginning of this entire mess in 1947. Palestinians were offered a homeland. Then they said, no way, not interested. The Arabs said, nope, we're not doing it. Not having anything to do with it. And 3 times since then, 3 times, they've been offered a chance to join the entire community of nations on this planet. And they have rejected every opportunity. And so they can't run to the bosom of international law and try to cast an enemy that they have finally provoked to the level of warfare again, as trying to cast them as some sort of villain in this case. It has nothing to do with that. The thing about it is that if indeed the Palestinians had accepted a homeland, they would not be allowed to simply wander into Israel and start slaughtering Israelis. And that was what they were trying to protect by not accepting a homeland. They would have been bound by international law. And they'd rather choose lawless violence than negotiated peace and civilization. Well, when you reject peace and civilization, those people who are peaceful and those people who are civilizations, especially when civilized, and when you're killing their citizens willy-nilly with random rocket attacks, and in this particular case, an invasion, things get really tough for you. And if indeed you're standing with Hamas, and it doesn't make any difference what nation you're in, if you stand with Hamas because it's an ideology, then you are Hamas. And I'm not just talking to people in the Middle East. I'm talking to people in the United States. I'm talking to the members of the Squad. I'm talking about Representative Tlaib, who has a Palestinian flag outside her office right this minute. With every statement of negativity toward Israel, she makes herself a member of Hamas. We're going to be talking about these soft leftists standing in the midst of great wealth and great peace in the United States, but advocating for the end of Israel because they're simply ragged, pathological Jewish bigots. But it sounds so much better when you say, no, I'm for the freedom and peace of the Palestinian people. No, you're just an anti-Jewish bigot. And the use of the word anti-Semitism I've criticized many, many times on this broadcast, and will continue to, because it sanitizes what it actually is. Anti-Jewish, genocidal bigotry. And the people who stand against Israel under these circumstances are members of Hamas. They are anti-Jewish bigots. Now, I also find it, and I've brought this up a couple of times in the last few days, I also find it very interesting that Hezbollah is rattling sabers left and right and center, saying so we're going to open up this two-front war and blah, 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 but don't do anything. Because they realize, as a military, and they are a competent military, they realize that they cannot take on the IDF because the IDF will simply roll over them, as they have done before, and they will do again. And this ridiculous notion that Iran is not involved in all of this, when for decades Iran has sent money and weapons and military advisors to both Hamas and Hezbollah, that's whistling Dixie in the maelstrom. It is time for reality to ensue. Israel is not the villain here. People who are unwilling to be at peace with Israel because the cost is too high, with that cost being to allow Jews to live at all, those are the people who are the true villains in this. And those people who support them are supporting evil, heinous, genocidal, Nazi-like evil. That's the way I see it. If you can see something else in that, by all means, share it with me. Really be interested in hearing what you have to say. This is The Wells Report. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment. Thanks for being a part of our show today.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning. John David Wells at your service. The left is essentially impaled on their own pathological philosophy, especially where Israel is concerned. A journalist, Rachel Shabi, tweeted that civilians are civilians are civilians, doesn't matter where, as she condemned Hamas terrorist attacks on Israeli men, women, and children in their homes. Zarina Grewal, who is a Yale professor. She is a professor of American Studies, Ethnicity, Race, Migration, and Religious Studies at Yale University, then said settlers, referring to the Israelis, are not civilians. This is not hard. She works as an associate professor of those studies that I just read to you, and previously published a book focusing on transnational Muslim networks that link U.S. mosques to Islamic movements in post-colonial Middle East. She also created a film that examines the radicalization of Islam. Her tweet about Israeli citizens being slaughtered outside the Gaza Strip was met with outrage. The tweet below is from a professor at Yale. The context is babies being beheaded. This from The Atlantic, one of their writers, Thomas Chatterton Williams. Think about what happened to Erica Christakis and at NAC Christakis at Yale University for simply suggesting college students should be able to reason through their own Halloween costume choices. Several users, including writer Noah Smith, called Grewal's tweet vile. Yale professors prove it isn't hard to be evil, said the owner and CEO of the Babylon Bee, Seth Dillon. She does say she's a radical Muslim. This is the Free Press writer, Rupa Subramanya. She chimed in referencing the professor's ex-bio, a radical Muslim. Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, Rapid Response Director Christina Pushaw, noted that Grewal is a contributor to the Washington Post, among many other media outlets. She's also a contributor to the Huffington Post and the Islamic Monthly, and has received several awards for her writing and research from the Fulbright, Wenner Gren, and Luce Foundations. In a statement to Fox News, a Yale University spokesperson referenced recent comments from President Peter Salovey, who condemned the attacks on civilians by Hamas and called on members of the community to treat one another with compassion and to sustain a community of respect. Yale is committed to freedom of expression, and the comments posed on Professor Grewal's personal accounts represent her own views. Grewal continued to post about the Israel-Hamas war. My heart is in my throat. Prayers for Palestinians. Israel is a murderous, genocidal settler state. Palestinians have every right to resist through armed struggle, solidarity, #FreePalestine. On October 10th, a change.org petition was started to remove Gruel from the Yale faculty. It has 16,000 signatures. The following day, after she wrote that "my heart is in my throat for the Palestinians" tweet, she retweeted a news video detailing the initial Hamas terror attack alongside the caption, quote, "It's been such an extraordinary day," unquote. On October 10th, Gruel reacted to an ex-post from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with the words, "No government on earth is as genocidal as this settler colonial state. There is no question who the oppressors are and who the oppressed are," she said in a follow-up tweet, "and somehow people are confused about this. White supremacy never stops being shocking to me." She also retweeted a claim that Israel has a mad bloodlust and posts that implied Israeli supporters would have been posting "I stand with slave owners" during rebellions. This woman is a corrosive, pathological human being. And she's not the only one. And here's the situation. Progressives are also facing backlash on Capitol Hill about their initial responses to the attacks on Israel by Hamas militants. Members of the Squad, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, took heat from fellow Democrats this week over statements criticized for being too tepid in the wake of the violent attacks against Israelis. Meanwhile, after mounting pressure, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez condemned the bigotry and callousness at a pro-Palestinian rally aligned with the Democrat Socialists of America in New York City. The condemnation directed at certain segments of the left underscores the fissures within the Democrat Party when it comes to Israel. It also suggests progressives will have to navigate an increasingly difficult political environment in which they will be expected to unequivocally support Israel's right to exist while also advocating Palestinian rights. All I can say is on this, with this attack, the Palestinians have given up their rights. Any rights at all. Even the ones that are tenuously granted without having to pay the price for being given those rights by the international community. The Palestinians have no rights. They have no nation. It is their fault that they don't have a nation. They've been offered one 4 times. They have chosen a lawless society. Well, civilization strikes back at lawless societies. And all of these leftists, members of the Squad, etc., you guys are members of Hamas. This is not hard, to quote this insane Yale professor. This is not hard. You stand up for the Palestinians now, you're a Hamas terrorist. It's just as simple as that. You stand up for people organizing themselves, invading another country, beheading, torturing, raping, killing, burning people that are just getting on with their lives. So let's not make this overly complicated. If you stand with Hamas, you are Hamas. Hour number 2 of the Wells Report is next.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to Low Cost Airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. I am John David Wells. Welcome to the broadcast. Good to have you here. What do we do? Well, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We make commentary, which is not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, the Israeli-Hamas war, top of mind again today. This would be day 5 of the conflict. And things are escalating. The Israeli army moving into the Gaza Strip and the United States working on diplomacy efforts. In fact, the Secretary of State of the United States, Antony Blinken, landed in Israel this morning. This from CBS News.
Mr. Secretary, your visit is another tangible example of America's unequivocal support for Israel. Hamas has shown itself to be an enemy of civilization. The massacring of young people in an outdoor music festival, the butchering of entire families, the murder of parents in front of their children and the murder of children in front of their parents, the burning of people alive, the beheadings, the kidnappings of a young boy, not only kidnapped, molested, hurt, attacked, and the sickening display of celebrating these horrors, the celebration and glorification of evil. President Biden was absolutely correct in calling this sheer evil. Hamas is ISIS, and just as ISIS was crushed, so too will Hamas be crushed. And Hamas should be treated exactly the way ISIS was treated. They should be spit out from the community of nations. No leader should meet them. No country should harbor them, and those that do should be sanctioned. Tony, my friend, I say to you, I say to all of us, there will be many difficult days ahead. But I have no doubt that the forces of civilization will win. And the reason that's true is because we understand what is the first prerequisite of victory. It's what you just said in our meeting. Moral clarity. This is a time, a particular time, a special time, that we must stand tall, proud, and united against evil. Tony, you are taking that stand. America is taking that stand. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, America, for standing with Israel today, tomorrow, and always.
Mr. Prime Minister, I'm grateful to be back in Israel in this incredibly difficult moment for this nation, but in fact, for the entire world. If you'll permit me, personal aside, I come before you not only as the United States Secretary of State, but also as a Jew. My grandfather, Maurice Blinken, fled pogroms in Russia. My stepfather, Samuel Pizar, survived concentration camps, Auschwitz, Dachau, Majdanek. So, Prime Minister, I understand on a personal level the harrowing echoes that Hamas's massacres carry for Israeli Jews, indeed, for Jews everywhere. I also come before you as a husband and father of young children. It's impossible for me to look at the photos of families killed, such as the mother, father, and 3 small children murdered as they sheltered in their home in kibbutz near Oz, and not think of my own children. This was just one of Hamas's countless acts of terror. In a litany of brutality and inhumanity that, yes, brings to mind the worst of ISIS. Babies slaughtered, bodies desecrated, young people burned alive, women raped, parents executed in front of their children, children in front of their parents. How are we even to understand this, to digest this? And yet, at the same time that we've been shocked by the depravity of Hamas, we've also been inspired by the bravery of Israel's citizens. The grandfather who drove over an hour to a kibbutz under siege, armed only with a pistol, and rescued his kids and grandkids. The mother who died shielding her teenage son with her body, giving her life to save his, giving him life for a second time. The volunteer security teams on the kibbutzes who swiftly rallied to defend their friends and neighbors despite being heavily outnumbered. And we're lifted by the remarkable solidarity of the Israeli people, demonstrated in the long lines of people giving blood, in the hundreds of thousands of reservists who've mobilized, some rushing home from abroad, people around the country opening their homes to fellow citizens displaced from the south. The people of Israel have long and rightly prided themselves on their self-reliance, on their ability to defend themselves, even when the odds are stacked against them. The message that I bring to Israel is this: you may be strong enough on your own to defend yourself, but as long as America exists, you will never ever have to. We will always be there by your side.
Great words from Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who started out poorly on this particular circumstance, but seems to be recovering nicely. He will spend time in Israel today, and then will fly to Jordan later on in this day, and will then come home to Washington, D.C. There has also been some information, actually some moments of clarity from the Israeli president. He is Isaac Herzog, and he was speaking in a press conference with a British reporter earlier today.
Am I allowed to defend myself? Yes. That's the situation.
No one is denying the
These
right of you to
missiles
defend
are
yourself.
there. These missiles are launched. The button is pressed. Okay. The missile comes out from the kitchen onto my children.
But the question is this. Ultimately, you can't remove the people of Gaza. They're going to be stuck in this neighborhood.
So we have to fight. What do you want us to do? Well, so we tell them get out, and we fight against the launchers.
Eventually, what happens eventually? Right? Once this war is over now, you're going to have to live with them side by side.
Absolutely.
What's the plan?
Well, the plan is we have to make sure the Hamas will not be able to repeat this again. That is the plan. That's what we are trying to do.
And if you
with all due respect, I see nations fighting terror. Okay, many decent nations, when they fight terror, they fight terror. We are fighting terror. Humanity has to decide, are we accommodating terror or are we fighting terror? We are fighting terror. And we saw the worst atrocity possible. We see the worst atrocity possible by a whole campaign of a movement which has major support with our neighbors. Major. They believe, many people believe in it. I agree. There are many, many innocent Palestinians who don't agree to this. But unfortunately, in their homes, there are missiles shooting at us, at my children, at the entire nation of Israel. We have to defend ourselves. We have the full right to do so. And it's about time that the world understands it. This is the tragedy of using terror. And terror there's no mercy to terror.
There is no mercy. There is no mercy to terror. That's why it's called terror. This is calculated. This is something that we see practiced by people who aren't people. They are ideologues. They are murderers. They are insane practitioners of hate. And that is all. And there is no safe harbor in support of these people at any level by anyone. I find it absolutely infuriating that there are members of the United States Congress, still members of the United States Congress, who are plainly anti-Jewish bigots. But then again, they're also Democrats. It's not like the Democrat Party does not have an apologist streak 50 miles wide when it comes to racism. Senator Charles Byrd, a member of the Ku Klux Klan, explained away as, well, that was just part and parcel of where he lived. I mean, you just got to be a part of the Klan. No, you don't have to be part of the Klan. Why wasn't he expelled from the United States Senate? I'm sorry, it was Robert Byrd. Why wasn't he expelled from the United States Senate? Why is Ilhan Omar? Why is Cori Bush? Why is Rashida Tlaib? Why are they not, and people like them, why are they still in the United States Congress? It is a very simple thing to simply get rid of these people. It is. Cori Bush, all of these folks. There is no reason for them, AOC, there's no reason for them to remain in the United States Congress except that the United States Congress refuses to dispatch anti-Jewish bigots from their midst. And I've got to be perfectly honest with you. The Republican Party is in the majority in the United States House of Representatives. They will do something about these people, or they will not. I will be watching very carefully. If they do something, I'll report it here. If they do nothing, I will also report it here, and I will also bring up the reason why I am no longer a Republican. The reason I am no longer a Republican is because of conduct just like this. The gutless craziness of going along to getting along. Just to go along to get along with Democrats who refuse to expunge horrific, murderous, genocidal racism within their midst. There are other people in Queens. There are other people in Minnesota. Other people in Michigan that can take these seats. As a matter of fact, there are even Palestinians that are sickened by what we've seen. You're going to hear from one of them in just a couple of moments. There have to be some people in these enclaves that understand that what Hamas did disqualifies them from civilization. Let's put them in Congress instead. This is the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. I've been extremely harsh on people of the American left for standing with the animals that call themselves Hamas, for refusing to defend these supposed innocent civilians on the Gaza Strip. There are no innocent civilians on the Gaza Strip. Hamas is an ideology. Those people in the Gaza Strip are members of that ideology. Therefore, they are war fighters. Therefore, they are legitimate targets. I find it absolutely reprehensible that there are people in the United States of America standing up for this barbarous, treacherous, genocidal bigotry. And I am not the only one. Brit Hume discusses the mess on America's college campuses.
The one thing about this hideous event that we're witnessing...
Hold on just a moment. Stand by for just a second as I work on this very quickly. It's this automatic start jazz that drives me crazy. It really does. Drives me completely batty. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start this over again here on the Wells Report. This is Brit Hume reporting on Fox News.
Well, the one thing about this hideous event that we're witnessing and have witnessed is that it's been like turning over a rock in a number of precincts. These universities that were mentioned in Molly Land's report, among them, there have been statements by student organizations in a number of colleges, even beyond the one she mentioned. And the student administrations, the administrations of these colleges have been not entirely, but largely weak in their responses, as if there really could be some moral equivalence between the people who commit these hideous atrocities and the people who are the victims of them and are now responding to them. And I think it's, you've seen it in Washington too. Rashida Tlaib, the Democratic House Squad member, who's been so outspoken on so many things, racing away from our correspondent, asking her about these horrible atrocities. She finally put out a kind of a even-handed statement today. This has been clarifying, Brett, and I mean, there's not much that's been a bright spot in this, but perhaps that is. where people began to see some of these people who we kind of thought might have slightly unusual or exotic views have some really quite astonishing views, and we're seeing them in public, and we're seeing them in a number of places.
Yeah, the moral equivalence is an interesting point, and it is creeping in a number of places, colleges and universities, primary, as you mentioned, and there has been some pushback. If it is like that now, Britt, when Israel moves into Gaza, as it's expected to do, and goes street to street, house to house, trying to take out Hamas, and the result of that could get ugly publicly, what do you think we'll see then?
Well, there's no way, in my view, that Israel, which will try very hard to reduce civilian casualties, no way that Israel can do this surgically so that only the bad guys get hit. War is hell, Brett, as you know as well as anyone, and Israel is waging war. It says it is at war, and so civilians and people who are possibly innocent are going to die, and there's going to be wailing and gnashing of teeth about it. It'll be a test for this country, for the international media, and it will also be a test of the Biden administration. The president has been firm and strong in his statements of the last 2 days, particularly the one yesterday. But when this starts happening, and we start hearing the cries of pain about it, that'll be a real test. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see what happens. What should happen is that people should mourn the tragedy of the loss of life. Not just Israeli, but Palestinian as well. But we must be chastened with the benevolent, factual understanding that the Palestinians have brought this on themselves. They've allowed themselves to be ruled by monsters. And when monsters do their evil work, the stain is both irrefutable and unremovable. There's no coming back from this. There is no coming back from this. If you stand with Hamas, you are Hamas. The Wells Report in progress for this, the 12th day of October, year of our Lord 2023.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success. And now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
And the reason that we're doing that is because in the past, Mike Lindell has been a sponsor of the Wells Report. It came out today in the news that Mike Lindell is having trouble paying his lawyers in defense of his defamation lawsuit being waged against him by Dominion Voting Systems. Regardless of what you may think about Dominion Voting Systems or Mike Lindell's position on them, this is a good man who is standing up for his nation as he sees fit. If you can see fit to supporting him, that would be a good idea. That's why we're extending these commercials free of charge to Mike Lindell because, like I said, he's a great man. Like him, dislike him, believe in him, or don't believe in him. He is an American fighting for his country as he sees fit, and I think that's worthy of your support. There is a Palestinian peace activist. His name is Bassam Eid. He's been traveling to the U.S. every few months for the last decade to warn Americans about Hamas. He has, following the terrorist organization's surprise attacks on Israel over the weekend, Eid is condemning Americans who still champion Hamas as a social justice group, which it most assuredly is not. And what he's trying to do is trying to bring reality to what is, in a lot of ways, an ill-advised discussion. Check this out.
You know, I almost spent over than the past 9 years coming to America every 2-3 months to explain how the Hamas became a terrorist organization. Hamas is keeping 2 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip as hostages. Hamas is defending his rockets by using his own people. Imagine is such organization that the Americans claiming that it's a justice and social organization hiding weapons inside hospitals and inside the mosques. I think what the Hamas did last Saturday, considered as a genocide. It's not a massacre. And unfortunately, some rubbish human being around in the world are celebrating such massacre by considering it as a Palestinian victory. I think that if in the 21st century, massacres can be considered as victories, that means that this is the end of humanity.
He makes it very plain, doesn't he? This is a Palestinian. And he is someone who is making it abundantly plain. In fact, he's talking about all of these soft college liberals that live in their warm and welcoming home, free from most of this terror, and yet support most of this terror. They are frauds. And I love the term rubbish. And this is a Palestinian activist who indeed looked into the atrocities that were charged against Israel. And in that process, started looking into the atrocities charged against Hamas. And this is the result. You see, the people here in the United States, and it gets worse virtually every week, we are not given the real news and the real stories. That's one of the things we combat here on the Wells Report. This is what we do. We bring real news, real perspective. You don't have to agree with it. And if you don't, by all means, call us, 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. By all means, join us and tell us what you think. Because that is what truly makes this broadcast work. We're here for the long haul. We are here to bring you the news. And that is exactly what we're doing. So, one of the things that we've been talking about on this broadcast was the use of the internet by Hamas as a propaganda tool. And they have been very adept at it. And there is an article that you need to be aware of from USA Today, written by Jessica Gwynn and Will Carlos. It starts as follows. The attacks came by land, sea, air, and online. Terror propaganda, violent videos, graphic images of kidnappings and murders of civilians and soldiers that flooded social media from the deadly cross-border incursion into Israel was a key element in the Hamas strategy in the first place. Hamas streamed from the war zone in closer to real time than in past conflicts, indicating that their online strategy was an essential part of the overall planning of their attack on Israel. Taking advantage of how hyper-connected Israel is, widespread use of smartphones, social media, the horrifying pictures being beamed directly to Israeli citizens. One of the stories that has been reported is a circumstance whereby a murdered son's telephone was used by Hamas terrorists to indeed beam his murder to his parents on his own cell phone. The secret in this, the attempt, is to bring outrage, terror, to express uncivilized mayhem for the sake of uncivilized mayhem and nothing else. So when I say things like these people have forfeited their rights to participation in the human endeavor, they have. That's how I see it. It's plain for me. I don't see these other ideas. I believe what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said of Israel. Hamas will be destroyed. Every Hamas, every man who is Hamas is dead. And that's what they have to do. They have to completely destroy anybody having to do with Hamas. And not just now, but in the future. These people aren't stupid. The word Hamas will be largely stricken from their ideology very, very quickly. But something will rise in its place. And whatever rises in its place, if it stands there inhaling the exhaust of a rocket that they fire into a neighborhood without warning, well, that makes them Hamas. And they should be dealt with vigorously, quickly, suddenly, by the people responsible for the safety of those citizens in those neighborhoods. The ones being rocket attacked on the whim of some rabid anti-Jewish bigot. And so, indeed, cyberspace used as a weapon. Elon Musk, for his part, has decided to enjoin that battle. The website formerly known as Twitter, X, has removed hundreds of Hamas-affiliated accounts and taken down thousands of posts since the attack on Israel by Palestinian militant groups. The platform was given 24 hours by the European Union earlier this week to address illegal content and disinformation regarding the conflict or face penalties under the bloc's recently enacted Digital Services Act. I do have problems with the Digital Services Act of the European Union because, once again, it turns the editing of free speech over to a government entity. As every country in the European Union has a totalitarian past, they are more comfortable with it than we are. My discomfort is purely American. But the simple case of the matter is the editing process is not what is necessary here. Are people in the European Union anti-Jewish bigots? Yes. People in the actual government of the European Union, are they anti-Jewish bigots? Absolutely. Would it be alien to those particular government interests to not allow honest reporting via internet or anywhere else on the atrocities committed by Hamas against Israel? The answer is yes. And every time a decision like that is made, every single time, the perpetuation of this kind of inhuman conduct occurs. It's time for clearer heads to prevail. Now, I have said on this broadcast that you should not look at those videos. That decision should be made by you, not by a government entity. It should be there for you to see. I implore you not to look at it. As a part of this industry, I have seen things that I can't erase. And the things I've seen regarding this fall into that category. I deal with them because I realize that I have this platform to speak. I have this platform to explain, teach, to inform. But it cannot be, and I have standards that I use that shield you from some of this. But I don't take it away from you. I just ask you not to view it. Because, indeed, when you view it, just as we just reported, Hamas is counting on you watching it to spread their message of hate and horror. It's not putting your head in the sand to reject it. You can say, yep, all right, this happened. I get it. How do I sign up to stop it forever? Well, just as people will stand up stupidly, the human rubbish, as our Palestinian friends just call them, stand up and try to advocate for the indefensible, you can stand there and say, you are Hamas. Those are the three words you need to use. You are Hamas. And don't be surprised when they look at you with flashing eyes and say, yes, I am. Most of these are kids. They don't have any idea what they're talking about. But as we have heard, these kids on these college campuses that are bravely standing up for these so-called Palestinian rights, which no longer exist. There's no longer any kind of human basis for them. The universities are hearing from mainstream industry, asking for the names of these students so they can make sure they don't get hired. Is that a blacklist? Yeah. But then again, it's a blacklist based on terror. If you stand with Hamas, you are Hamas. It's going to be really tough to get yourself a nice job someplace with a Fortune 500 company if you are a Hamas terrorist. Now, nobody can do anything that exists inside a black heart or a diseased mind. But silence will do. Not because the government tells you to be silent, but because it's going to be really hard to pay off your school loans in the hundreds of thousands of dollars if you can't get a job. And the reality of society often is the best enforcer of proper societal behavior, isn't it? This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. I want to thank you very much for being a part of our broadcast. Coming up in just a couple of seconds, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Republicans and what they're doing to try to come up with a Speaker of the House of Representatives. They may indeed vote today. I have not looked. I will look during this break to make sure that that the Republicans are trying to move forward. They did vote in secret, in private, yesterday. Steve Scalise was their choice for the next Speaker of the House, but does he have the 217 votes on the House floor to be able to make that a fait accompli? We'll see. He defeated Jim Jordan, who immediately threw his support behind the House Majority Leader. I'm worried about Steve Scalise's health and nothing more. And we'll talk more next on the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Steve Scalise was voted on by a private vote of Republicans in the Republican caucus. I guess it was yesterday, or maybe day before. Anyway, we'll find out more about that coming up in just a couple of seconds. After that vote, he addressed the assembled press and said this.
My House Republican colleagues for just designating me.
Well, right now, there is no Speaker of the House. This is the 9th day in a row that there has not been a Speaker of the House. Steve Scalise, he was able to win in the Republican conference today, but he does not have the votes to win on the floor. As I always say, it's about the math. I just spoke with Mario Diaz-Balart, a Republican congressman from Florida, just a couple of moments ago, and he said that there were certain forces, certain Republicans who were trying to undercut Steve Scalise. And, he said the general consensus was that if you got the votes in the Republican conference today, that members would go ahead and support him on the floor. He said they must not believe in elections. That's the line from Mario Diaz-Balart. I also spoke to another senior Republican aide this evening who said they didn't think it would be this bad. They didn't think that Steve Scalise would immediately have the votes coming out of that conference meeting and be able to go to the House floor and win, but they didn't think that there would be this chasm, this deficit that he would have to make up. I mean, there's some here on Capitol Hill who don't think that they can ever make up that deficit. Dusty Johnson, a Republican representative from South Dakota, he indicated that he thought that Steve Scalise had made a little bit of progress today. Anna Paulina Luna, a Republican from Florida, she indicated that she was now for Steve Scalise. Sean, here's the other thing. Jim Jordan.
And so that is a Fox News report on the speaker. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can jump into this just a little bit. This is Fox News, and like I said, let me see if we can get this rolling here on the Wells Report.
There are many of them continuing to back Jim Jordan. The key here is that they just don't have the votes to elect a speaker. What that means is the House remains in this stasis, this paralysis, as the Middle East is on fire, and the House can't even pass a resolution to say it stands by Israel. Steve Scalise said that would be his first bit of action if he was elected Speaker.
All right, so what we've got here is we've got this particular story, and yes, it is important. It is something that goes hand in hand with what we've been discussing regarding Israel, because there is a paralysis in the House of Representatives, although I'm reasonably sure that they would be able to essentially pierce all that if they decided to in some way, shape, or form. One way they could do it is indeed going ahead and electing Steve Scalise. We will see whether or not they're going to do that. House Republicans gathering behind closed doors again today to hear from their Speaker-elect. Majority Leader Steve Scalise says he's working to win over enough support for a chamber-wide vote. Scalise won a majority of the GOP conference during a closed-door vote yesterday. But it quickly became clear that Scalise did not have the support, as being reported by Fox News, needed to win a House-wide vote. With a razor-thin majority, he can only afford to lose 4 GOP members to still clinch the gavel without Democrat support. Scalise will make his case to GOP holdouts during another closed-door meeting today, which is scheduled to take place at 12:15. That's 11:15, 15 minutes after this broadcast concludes in the Central Time Zone. Sources told Fox News Digital that as of last night, as many as 20 people were still opposed to Scalise. That's because his rival for the gavel, Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, publicly telling people to back Scalise. Scalise spent much of the day yesterday huddled behind closed doors with allies and holdouts, and there were mixed results. Representative Anna Paulina Luna has been leaning toward supporting Jordan after the closed-door vote, but she left a meeting with GOP leadership, telling reporters she was now behind Scalise. After talking to Representative Scalise, I feel very confident he's going to allow me to aggressively pursue justice for this country and this nation, so I will be supporting him on the floor. But then again, that's because he will be aggressively allowing me to pursue and do my job. And so I just want to let the American people know that right now we're facing a weaponized government, and this is incredibly important that we bring justice to it. Others were not as convinced. Representative Max Miller of Ohio left the Republican leadership suite in a hurry, telling reporters, I'm still a no on Scalise, and that's not changing. And so the Republican Party is having its difficulties. And this is interesting. This from Newsweek magazine. Allies of Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan are trying to sabotage House Majority Leader Steve Scalise's bid to become the House Speaker. By the way, this is Newsweek, so this is biased. They are claiming that the Louisiana Republican had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars at a D.C. steak restaurant, this according to reports. Eric Cortellessa, a politics reporter for Time, said that supporters of Jordan have been sharing Federal Election Commission documents around Washington, D.C., showing that Scalise has spent more than $500,000 through his congressional campaign account at the Capitol Grill since 2011. Let's see, that's 13 years. I know this is always a bad idea. And I probably shouldn't do this, but let's say 500,000. That's 500,000 divided by, let's see, it would be 11 years or 13 years. 13 times 12 is 156 divided by 156 equals $3,205 a month. Or a month at the DC Steakhouse. That's kind of a lot of money. We'll see. Would it be steak that drives a stake through the heart of a Steve Scalise speakership? Executive producer of this broadcast is Dirk Steele. Our publicist and associate producer is Jube Dankworth. You can find her at netmediaconsultants.com. My name is John David Wells. As I said earlier today, I want to make sure that you understand that I will not be here again tomorrow. I have Texas State Guard duty that's going to keep me busy all weekend. It's really cool. We'll be down in Ennis, Texas, serving to help make the Fall Nationals, the NHRA meet at the Texas Motorplex, smooth and easy to get in and out of. We'll be doing all of that. And I'll be very, very busy. So I will see you again on Monday for another edition of the Wells Report. And we will leave you with this as we continue to support Mike Lindell, who needs money for his lawyers and his life. Please watch this. And if you can, by all means, get yourself some very good Mike Lindell products, MyPillow products. I sleep on them every day, and they are magnificent. This is Mike Lindell.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success. And now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere My Pillows with the same temperature regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.